The suppliers module is developed very much in the same way as we will have been used to, so I'll just run through some of the changes that you would notice. In our supplier module, you can see here we've got all those same details, and again the ability to send texts away, SMS messages if you've got that SMS integration set up. On our terms page, there is one addition here with the invoices for non-purchase order invoices. So Spark New Zealand's a great example that we always want to charge it to our phones fixed. And these line items on Spark's invoices are always GST inclusive. So as I go through and start a non-purchase order invoice, you can see it's defaulted up here to GST inclusive, and as I complete those details, I can just enter my details in there, and once I've got no variance there, I can go ahead and post. If I do want to add documents to this, again, I can drag and drop straight into here once I've saved the invoice, drag and drop, and then go ahead and post that invoice. There's also the ability to set up a recurring invoice for suppliers. So to set up a recurring invoice, this sort of takes over anyone who's been using periodic charges, adds the ability to set our recurrence up, and that really gives us the ability to set up invoices for things like leases, or there's fixed terms. Set up your 48 recurrences and you'll always know exactly where you're at and how many occurrences there are to go for that particular period. Contacts are very much the same, and as I add those, you'll see they've got that same setting to allow, once we've got a somewhat valid email in there, we get our option to receive documents by emails, and again we can set this up for as many customer contacts as we like, emailing those directly from the transactions. In our Orders tab, we've got a couple of defaults here. We've got the ability to override the default setting for our prompting to auto order, so I can select a specific prompt or exclude this from prompting, and also the ability to set a freight-free order total, so that as you're processing purchase orders, you'll be prompted if you're close to that freight-free level. You'll see in our supplier payments, we have the ability here to add and save a supplier payment. So if you're setting up payments there, if you've got all of your correct bank account details loaded against your supplier, you will be prompted. It will default to your direct credit. You can see here we don't have that option for the supplier, but as soon as we've got a valid bank account, we can send those off to direct credit exports. Once I've created my supplier payment, I can save that, and I'm able to then look at my list of unposted supplier payments and assess which ones we're going to post today. I can then delete that. The other nice ability is to, on supplier payments at any time, we can reverse that supplier payment, which will just reverse it out as if it's deleted. But also even on posted supplier payments, just the ability to run that remittance advice at any time. Supplier purchase orders are available, and I'll just focus on a few of the changes that have been made as we've developed these. The auto ordering has had a full review. You can see here I've got a prepared supplier purchase order, and I can choose here to either auto order by min-max or by sales, and I'd be prompted to do that as I started the purchase order if the supplier had those set. Down here you can see we've got a number of options, filter options. There's a lot more status has been added in here. Key ones are to include in-transit calculations and or include quantity sold, include kit set components. So when your invoiced kit sets are being created as they're sold, we've got the opportunity here to actually include those in those sold calculations. I've set up a default order period in my system for 4 months, but that can be set up as a default and changed as I come in here. Economic order quantity, if you've got large economic ordering amounts, you can either choose to round up or round down. So if you're trying to increase your stock, you can select to round those up, but if you're being a bit more circumspect in your ordering, you can choose to round those down, which will just round them down to that next level. I've got a couple of shortcuts here to assess sales from the past year or this month last year, but you can also just enter those dates up the top there. Again, we've got the summary item here, which tells me exactly how many products I'm going to be looking at. I can change these settings, and that will update those that summary there, so I can see that I've got a manageable quantity of products that I'm looking at. Once I come through to show the summary, I can see a lot of information on this screen, but as you work through it, you'll be aware of which of these columns are really relevant to you. And again, we've got hover messages there to tell you exactly where these numbers have come from. My recommended order quantity, I've got an EOQ of 1. I can reduce all of these to the maximum quantities if I've got those loaded. I can even show my min-maxes if I'm using those in combination. And I can also just show all items, and that's going to give me an idea of items that are getting close to being needing order, and also the ability to actually review and see items that we have many months of stock available. From here, I can edit any of those quantities. I can clear quantities or reset them. And down the bottom here, we've got the total volume weight, and so if you're looking to fill a container, you can assess those, and the estimated freight coming from the products themselves. Once I'm happy with that, I can confirm and add all of those items to the purchase order, and you'll see here I've got the free freight reached notification indicating that I've reached that value. We've got a recommended order quantity, and if I do actually want to go and change that recommended order quantity will remain there, so that I can always see that I changed my mind from the recommended order. Once I've completed that, I can save that order, and the nice thing is I can also come back in a couple of weeks' time and actually have a bit of a reassessment. I've included saved purchase orders in my calculations, so this is really only going to advise changes in those quantities that have occurred in this sales period since I last processed those. Another option for auto ordering is the ability to auto order by min-max. Now, previously, when you auto ordered by min-max, it would just put all the recommended orders straight onto your purchase order. We've now introduced the ability to show a summary of those items, so that this is an option. You don't have to have this. You can just have it operate so it puts all those items straight onto the purchase order. But if you want to see that summary, you can auto order by your min-max. You can see here we've got minimum, maximum quantities available on screen. We've got all the same information in here. I can see where these numbers are coming from. And from here, I can confirm and again add those on to the purchase order directly from there. On our purchase orders, we have the ability to simply cancel a purchase order. So once it has been ordered, it's in that ordered status rather than a draft status. I can come in and actually cancel that purchase order, and that's going to record that it was cancelled. It's going to close that and take all of those products out from being outstanding. But also I can request a credit, which will allow me to create a pending purchase order that has all the quantities reversed. I can then edit that and adjust quantities and send that away to the supplier. But we can also duplicate a purchase order, and much the same as the other transactions and the customers that we looked at, we can either copy those costs or update those costs. So you can take any purchase order, even after it's been completed, and use those same options to request a credit or duplicate. A nice addition on the purchase orders is that once a purchase order has been selected as ordered and the status set to ordered, any changes to that order will be tracked and are able to be viewed. So this particular supplier purchase order was ordered away, and we can see here that it was posted by me and the date, but also I can have a look at the amendments tab, and I can see in here that originally the purchase order was created like this, and then I can even just come in and have a look at this particular purchase order and see what was changed. So that's tracked right through even after the purchase orders have been completed to see what amendments were made after the purchase order was ordered. The update shipping costs has had an addition, which is as soon as we receive any items, you'll see here there's an update shipping costs option. Now often updating shipping costs by quantity is not the most valid way to update those costs. So you can see here if I update by quantity, my hairdryer and my heat pump dryer are receiving the same freight value. We've put in ability here to adjust that by volume or by weight, or even just by cost. So this freight being split by cost seems a better way to do that for me. So I'm going to update those shipping costs. That goes away and updates the latest shipping cost on your products. And if you elect to, as you receive those goods, it will update the average freight costs. You'll also notice as soon as I've received some goods here, I've got the ability to review labels. So printing labels has had a complete revamp. We're finding it a lot easier to manage. There's no need to link your labels through to your printer. You'll just be using your Windows printer dialog. So as I open it up here, all those same settings available for my products to print the total or to print it by purchasing or sales unit. Once I've entered those figures, you can see I've got my indication down here of how many I'm about to print. And I can open up those and print them. And as I send that through to my label printer, there is the option to actually scale these labels. So your first port of call when printing labels is to print them to your printer, scale them to the size of the paper on the printer, and see how those print out. If there's customization needed to be done after that, that can happen. But you'll find the process a lot smoother, and you have a lot more control over what's happening with your labels. The nice thing about those labels is that in my product receipts list, I can come back and have a look at all my received product receipts, and that includes my purchase order receipts. So I can come in and have a look at those at any time. I can see what was received and when. I can even see this is a migrated receipt, but if it was a receipt that was posted in the new software, I'll be able to see who that was and when they posted it. But also at any time I can come back and review those labels, so I don't have to do it if I've run out of labels or that sort of thing. I can come back and print those labels later. And obviously once we've got those labels there, we can download those. They'll come through as separate labels and print those at any time.